Of course, like bigger trends right now in machine learning in general is I think the rise of like transformer models, large language models. You of course know about like ChatGPT, these GPT models. So there's a trend towards also more like foundation models that companies and organizations can basically pick like off the shelf, like pre-trained models and fine-tune it on their own data. So the change you currently see is that teams, they need to, where they first started kind of from scratch in kind of building and developing models, they see that they can actually use like larger, very powerful models off the shelf and fine-tune it to their own use case, which of course affects also the different tools and the different things that you need to also run and manage those models. Right. Like one of the bigger things is, of course, like a different need in like compute power. These larger models, they need, for instance, like GPUs to run also for inference. Yeah, to optimize it, it's more difficult. So it's kind of a different. I mean, it's expensive hardware to start with, and everyone is kind of using it right now. So yeah, and with the whole like chip shortage, semiconductor shortage, they're not always available. So it's a challenge to get like enough GPUs for even with cloud providers. I mean, there's some availability, but it can change from day to day. But these more powerful models, especially with NLP, like also video processing, like image analysis, computer vision, these are all like very powerful models. And they're often, if they're more powerful, it's still the trend that they become larger as well. So they consume more compute, they require like heavy, like strong GPUs, which of course, also affects kind of where you can run them and how you deal with them. So if you want to deploy these like larger models, it's very hard to do on, let's say, just maybe on your laptop. It's even kind of heavy to run if you don't have a data center strength GPU available. So we can also help with giving our users access to those to this hardware, to this more powerful hardware, and also in an on-demand way. So you basically only pay for the time that your model is running, and not just kind of occupies a GPU for the whole all the time.
Great. Yeah. Sure.
There's a lot going on in the MLOps field in general. You see, it's kind of maturing. It's been a big like boom there in the past couple of years. Like MLOps is only, I think, a couple of years old as a term. We see a lot of different tools that are more like niche and focused on solving different parts of that like life cycle, MLOps life cycle. Also, a nice thing is that you see some consolidation in the field, like tools integrating with each other. So it really becomes its own like stack for MLOps, which is I think, a great development. Yeah, especially that kind of continuously growing demand for more compute is important, but not just the compute itself, but also becomes more important where things run. I mean, a lot of companies, they become like they start to think about like where if data needs to reside, let's say in Europe or in the US, or where data needs to reside, kind of where models need to run, where workloads need to run. What we're actually providing is not just a cloud environment, but also a hybrid, cloud environment, almost like a meta cloud environment, where we give more flexibility to our end users on selecting where their workloads should run. And actually, we're developing UbiOps in a direction where we're also try to offer the flexibility to users, so they can select different compute environments, also bring their own compute environments, but still have that like single management console where as an interface. If I were a startup trying to allocate budget for deploying AI machine learning in production, I would definitely look for tools out there that can help you solve part of that problem and kind of build that stack. Because I mean, you can always build it yourself if you have enough like time, enough resources, and enough people, and enough like a large enough engineering team. But it's not where your core focus should be. I mean, you have a specific problem that you want to solve, and you want to solve that with AI or machine learning, and want to build a product around it. So you want to focus your money where your domain knowledge is. So you want to invest in data science teams and in machine learning engineers and in people to really build the intelligence. But I don't want to invest a lot of money and time in setting up this whole infrastructure for running these AI machine learning models. So it's a great shortcut to actually invest in or actually buy a platform, especially for our end users not having to think about all this like infrastructure stuff. Because as a data scientist, you know your model, and you know the different libraries you work with, you know the different packages and frameworks you work with. So you basically want to tell the platform like, hey, this is what I'm using, and this is the actual model. Go fix. So that's what we do.